All right, welcome back to Market Day Report. I am Scott Shelley, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Thank you very much for joining us here on this Friday, the 3rd of March. Why don't we take a look at what the markets have got for us so far today? Let's take a look at corn. We'll jump off there and see what that's got in store for us. Well, we're up 7 3/4 cents in that May contract. Pretty good going. 641.5 is last. We have been higher by a penny and a quarter. July's up 6 cents to 630. But look at the new crop is up 1 3/4 to 572 1/4, well above that 570 line, and about a penny and a quarter off of the highs. Soybeans, what does that have in store for us here? Well, we've got a 13-cent rally in the May. 15.22 1/4 is last there. July's up 10 3/4 cents to 15.08 3/4. But we really want to see what's going on with the new crop. Let's bring new crop up and see what that's got in store for us here today. We're just a tad better than we were before, right? We're up 7 3/4 cents in over 23 beans. That's 13.75 1/4. All right, not bad. Let's take a look at wheat in Chicago. The Chicago wheat, you ask. Let's see if we've got anything over there. Yeah, we have a penny and a quarter cent rally. 7.14 even is last in the May. July's up a penny and 3/4 to 7.21.5. Those are both inching towards the highs of the day, but up between, say, 1 1/4 and 2 cents across the board when we talk about Chicago wheat. We bring in hard red wheat in Kansas City, the old HRW down in KC. We're a little easier there. 2 1/4 cents lower in that May contract. 8.23 3/4 is last, and 2.5 cents off in the July contract to 8.14 3/4. We're down between, say, almost 2 1/4 cents, 2.5 cents across the board there. So about a steady uniform loss when it comes to the hard red wheat. How about spring wheat in Minneapolis? That's down. And the deferreds are down. The front month May is up 1 tick. That's 1/4 cent, 8.76.5. Looks very, very quiet. July's off a 0.5 cent to 8.72 even. And then finally, we're going to get to the cotton market. Cotton, well, let's see what that's doing right now. That was up 76 points to 84.47 in the May. 60-point rally in the Dees to 84.35. That's going to be brought to us by Bar Chart, and we're going to bring in our content. That'll be brought to us by Todd Horowitz, Bubba Trading in Las Vegas. I think it's Las Vegas. Yes, it is Las Vegas. All right, Todd, what do you got for us here? What are your thoughts? It seems to me to be kind of quiet, but we are bouncing a tad.
Yeah, and I think that, I think the grains have found, some bottoms, and hopefully those bottoms will hold. I think we have to remember that there's still no real action in the market. We're still trying to decipher a lot of the ridiculous news that comes out and the way that the Fed is interpreting it. And of course, I think they're going to continue to raise rates, and they're now discussing that wages are moving up too fast, although they're not keeping up with inflation. So it's not a very good mix at the moment, especially when you go grocery shopping. And at some point, the inputs have got to drop, which I don't see happening, or the cost of grains has to go a lot higher. And I think that's the case. They're going to go a lot higher. It's just a question of when they push them there.
Yeah, I read some research this morning that said that with our CPI at 6.4%, which is what everybody usually uses as our inflation rate, 6.4%, it said that if we measured inflation like we did in the 70s and 80s when you and I just got in the game, it's actually more like 15%. Would you agree with that?
I think it's over 20, to be honest with you. I just went grocery shopping from 6 months ago. Like for like item, it was 40% higher. Okay, a loaf of bread was 100% higher than it was 6 months ago. Yet wheat is down substantially.
Well, that is, I find that absolutely amazing, and we've talked often on this show about that inflation and CPI. And really, what I'd like to see is some sort of gauge that would measure the money in your pocket, not just what a CPI rate is, right? I think that a lot of these things, the things that are expensive are the things we buy every day. The things that are coming off in price to make the CPI come in, like how many times do you buy a used car? Like once every 4 or 5 years?
How many times do you buy a refrigerator every 10 years? It's ridiculous. Look, one quick number. I know we got to go to break, but the Americans are making 6% more, or 0.6%, and they're spending 1.8. So they're losing 2/3 for every dollar they spend.
Right.
It's not a good ratio. It's not healthy for the economy.
It can't go on forever, that's for sure. All right, stay right there. We're going to go away. We got to pay some bills. We'll be right back to talk more with Todd Horowitz, Bubba Trading, Las Vegas, after this. All right, welcome back to Market Day Report. Let's take a look at what we've got going on in the livestock sector, right? The proteins, the meats, whatever you want to call them, we'll bring up those prices. Let's start with live cattle. April's up $1.12. Look at that, 165.22. We're about 60 cents off the highs there. June's up $1.02 to 160.47, and that's about 30 some odd cents off the high. So a pretty good live cattle board. We'll take that, right? Especially on a Friday and when things have been so rough recently. Feeder cattle, though, they're tacking on some gains. They're gaining some real estate. Let's take a look at April. That's up over $2. $2.05 to 195.90. And then we've got May up $1.80 to 200, spots 62. So we've got May's got a 200 handle in front of it. So that's getting up there too. See if there's any oxygen, how long it can stay. How about lean hogs? Well, they're steady a little bit better. That's what we would say if we still had a floor. We don't have huge ranges over there, but we have an 80-cent rally in the April. 84.65 is last there. May, that's up 25 cents to 93, spot 12. And that gives us the opportunity to get back to our guest analyst. That's going to be Bubba Horowitz, Todd Horowitz from Las Vegas. All right. Anything that stands out of you there when I reel off those prices in the meats?
I think cattle looks great, as we've talked about all along. It continues to climb higher. Fat cattle looks unbelievable. And when you look at the price of corn today against feeders, that's usually an unusual mix, right? Both are higher, which is why the correlations don't always work. I think hogs are, having a little bit of a bounce, but I mean, they were due a bounce after just getting slaughtered. I'm kind of surprised with oil making that dramatic reversal today from down almost $3 to now up almost $2. That cattle is holding its strength, which is a good sign. I mean, that they're holding up, because normally I would have thought that cattle might have started to sell off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that is one heck of a move when it comes to crude oil. That's going to be something that also plays into what we talked about in the last segment, that CPI, because that's something that actually affects us in the pocketbook on a daily basis, right? I mean, this is one of those things that you fill up at least probably like most people once a week or maybe at least twice a week, and that could be something that bites as well.
It's going to bite hard, Scott. And listen, nobody ever talks about the CO2 shortage, which is another problem, and it's a big component for farming as well. So we've got just issues that we ignore, and again, it's got to resolve itself at some point, and it should resolve itself in the benefit of farmers, I would hope. Well,
and at least they're going to replace your gas stove with electric stove, so that'll make it all better. All right, thanks very much, Todd Horowitz. He's with Bubba Trading in Las Vegas. We'll bring it back here to Nashville.